Okay, here's an example on simplification, something that I've mentioned a couple of times, and I just wanted to show you a little bit of a diagram that can sort of show what it really means, or what it means in these terms. So if you think about the fraction 2/4, that's a fraction with a fraction of 2/4. It means that you're taking a whole, and let's take the pi, we're going to cut it into 4 equal parts, okay? That's where the 4 comes from. There's the 4 equal divisions, okay? And we're going to take 2 of those fourths, and that's going to be all we take of the pi, okay? So 2 slices of the pizza, okay? Now, if I were to take the same pi, but instead have divided it by just halves, okay? So there's a total of 2 halves. I can take 1/2 of this pi, okay, and it would be the equivalent of having taken 2/4 of the pi. So here's 1/2 of the pi, okay? Now, the idea of simplification is that because these two areas of the pie that are represented by two different fractions, 2/4 and 1/2, are equivalent, then we can say that 2/4 is equal to 1/2. Okay? Both of those are essentially representing the same value. Okay? They're written as different fractions. Okay? Different fractions with different denominators. Okay? One denominator is 4, so the pi is divided into 4s, and the other denominator is 2, which means the pi is divided into halves. But they represent the same volume. All right, and so we can say that they're equivalent. They are essentially representing the same amount of pi. Okay, so how are they related mathematically? Okay, so how are they related mathematically, and what does it mean to be simplified? Well, let me tell you that the easy, or maybe the one that I think might be most intuitive. Okay, the fraction 1/2 is written with smaller numbers. Okay, smaller numbers. So less elements to worry about, okay, more manageable quantities, okay? But it's also the smallest way in which the value can be represented. You see, because if I were to take the pi on the left and maybe break it even further into eighths, okay? So now the same volume is represented by 4/8, okay? So it's still equal to 4/8. So all these are equivalent, but the 1/2 is the smallest way to represent the same quantity. So this one is the most simplified. Let's say the most simple. Okay? Because simplification is a result of the operation to simplify. Right? So 1/2 is the most simple. It is the same quantity represented with the smallest numbers. Okay? And so that's really what simplification means. It is the most simple way to represent the same quantity. Okay, you can make the pie cut into more pieces and more pieces, and so you'll have different, fractions, but they'll all continue to represent the same quantity. This is really simplification means. Okay, the other way to understand it mathematically, and this I'm just going to leave this with you, is that there is a relationship. Okay, there is a multiplicative relationship between those two numbers and between these two numbers, okay? And I'm going to leave you with that because you can kind of see what the relationship between these two numbers are and what the relationship between all of these numbers, between the numerators and the denominators are. And that's where the mathematics of simplification comes in. So I'm just going to leave this with you to think about, and we're going to kind of go back to it in a little bit, okay? There's a relationship between denominators and also between numerators. Okay? So I will talk to you soon. Bye-bye.